all remember this millionaire who told us that millennials could afford a house if only we stopped buying avocado toast.
When I was trying to buy my first home, I wasn't buying smashed avocados for 19 bucks.
Well, as it turns out, another millionaire, Marcus Lemonis, wants to put in his 2 cents on how millennials should act because apparently we haven't gotten it through our lazy, entitled heads that if you spend all your money on unicorn frappuccinos, you won't be able to spend it on things like, I don't know, brunch. Because it seems like these people who haven't actually experienced life as a millennial in this economy really think that's what's going on through our narcissistic brains. But unfortunately for Marcus, this selfie generation constituent, okay, well, that one might be a little true. Regardless, this millennial is about to tell him where he can shove his advice for Gen Y, a region he seems to be quite familiar with since he's talking out of it. In his video for CNBC, the Profit host and Camping World CEO didn't waste any time spewing his factually inaccurate and blatantly ignorant BS.
I know that you're historically used to it being summer break, but summer break is over.
Huh. Well, I know historically we are the most educated generation, 34% of us with a bachelor's, master's, professional, or doctoral diploma, but I guess the fact that I've actually been on this so-called summer break for the past few years after college, you know, while I was trying to get a job, afford food, and shelter, must have gone right over that same head I was, you know, trying to put a roof over. Not to mention, Marcus, we did kind of invent that whole adulting thing, which, you know, is kind of the antithesis of summer break. But nonetheless, what do we do now that break is over?
Get a job and don't rely on staying at home.
Oh yeah, that makes a ton of sense, Marcus. I actively wanted to move in back with my parents at 22 because I was like, hey, meatloaf and curfews sound bomb.com. It wasn't because I had, you know, crippling student loan debt, which for the class of 2016 averaged a whopping $37,000, or that the average salary for 20 to 24-year-olds is $27,000 a year, while the average cost of living is $28,000 a year. Yeah, definitely had nothing to do with that. Although, for the record, my mom's meatloaf is actually the shit. Also, while we're on the topic of records, our generation is contributing to a record high number of young people living with their parents, but 81% of them are either working or in school. So your whole lazy insinuation there just doesn't add up with the numbers. But back to you, Marcus.
Take any job you can just to get in the momentum of having a calendar and a schedule and getting up on Monday morning and finishing on Friday night.
That is so cute. Marcus thinks things start on Monday morning and finish on Friday night. Now, unfortunately, I don't know a single millennial who isn't hustling every day of the week, not to mention their side hustle and their side hustle, but let's humor him for a second here. If you're going to take any job you can get, it's most likely going to be a fast food or retail job at, I don't know, Camping World. These sorts of jobs pay minimum wage, and as those of us who have worked in these industries know, definitely don't have regular schedules. Managers dictate your hours, and they're notoriously irregular. Plus, as I mentioned before, that minimum wage ain't gonna get you anywhere with the exorbitant living costs that plague our nation. But he provides us some solace.
And if you have to work for me for a while, making 12 bucks an hour, it's better than you sitting at home making zero.
Now, I can't tell if that's an advertisement to work at Camping World or if he is oblivious to the fact that if you're settling for any job you can get, that means you could be earning the federal minimum wage, which is $7.25 an hour, almost 42% less than his proposed 12 bucks an hour. And while yes, any wage is of course better than sitting at home making zero, that's still not gonna pay the bills. Marcus missed the mark here, as so many do when trying to advise millennials on how to make it in the real world. And that's because our world is very different than the world that they grew up in. We have massive student loan debt, a more competitive job market, increased living costs, but stagnant wages. It's hard out here for a Gen Yer, and your rather condescending words of wisdom are really just plain dumb. Almost as dumb as hating on avocado toast, because that is delicious. Thanks for watching TYT. Don't forget to follow this millennial at Hannah Cranston.